Hey Transplant community, my name is Jim Merle and it's time once again for another edition of Transplant Helper Rewind. Now this is going to be a very special episode because technically this is an episode I've never published before. It's never been on this YouTube channel. You've probably never heard anything like this, but it's been almost 2 years ago now. I was sitting down having a interview being done with Anna Jaworski. She's the host of Heart to Heart with Anna, and as I was doing that interview, she asked me a very special question, one that I can't recall answering before or since, and that is, Jim, what is the biggest piece of advice you can give to someone who's waiting for a heart transplant? Now again, this was on a podcast, so it's just an audio clip. I'm going to put some video over this for you to look at, but nonetheless, I want you to listen to the answer I gave then, because if I had it to do over again, I'd give exactly the same answer. Thank you so much. Check it out.
So what piece of advice do you think is the most important for somebody who's waiting for a heart to heed?
Somebody who's waiting for a heart has to focus on what's coming, not what's been, and not how long it's been either. They've got to focus on what's coming. So they've got to look ahead and just picture themselves with their transplant, healing, growing, improving, and as I say, staying stronger. And being stronger is different than being strong. So being strong is a momentary thing. Being stronger is to take everything in your past and to do it better. And I take that on the planes of the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. You got to be better at all of that at one time.
But how can people do that, Jim, when they feel like they're at their lowest?
It's extremely difficult to do. It's almost impossible until you get to hindsight. And the thing is, when we're waiting on transplant, the only thing in our minds is the transplant. And you hear the doctors say it. Your family's certainly looking at you this way. If he don't get this transplant, tomorrow he's going to die. And so that's what it rings out. I get that. I've been there, done that. But at the same time, I was talking to someone just the other day who was asking the same question. I encouraged him by reminding him that every day that he waits is a day that he had. And so my transplant wait time is 265 days. Some people wait longer. Some people wait less time. There's no prediction for that, really.
Right.
But every day that I waited was a day of positive time that I had. And like I was able to go through 4 evaluations before I had to be transplanted. It just had to happen. Those first 3 evaluations, you were interested earlier in how I make the choice or something to turn those away. That's exactly how, because every day I got on this side, to me, was mathematically added back to the other side. And so with the guarantees what they are, heart transplant survival rates, and people always want to discuss this, and that's fine, but average transplant survival rate when I had my transplant was about 5 years. Now they're claiming 8.5, 10 years. You take 5 years or you take 8.5 or 10 years and you add that to your age right now and then ask yourself if you're satisfied with it. You know, we all want to be thankful and grateful, but we're really not. We're not really satisfied with that. So what do? I choose to be thankful for the days that lead up to that, because when I was given a 5-year potential survival rate after transplant, I thought to myself, I'll take 5, but I'm going to add 3 to it before. I'm going to wait 3 before I get it. And that way I'll be this age before I leave this life.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be positive, very hard to be positive, but people all the time reach out to me. They're on the Facebook groups. Is a big place where they talk, and they're like, oh, my family member, and they're in terrible shape. They've had to put them on this, and now they're having to do that with them. It's awful, awful. I can't even imagine. But at the same time, there has to be a level of gratitude added to the fact that they are on a respirator, that there was such thing as an ECMO device, that there was such a thing as an LVAD.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of focusing on this piece of machinery for the terrible reason it's there, be focused on the wonderful reason that it's available.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Transplant Helper Rewind. If you'd like to hear the remainder of this podcast, please click on the link in the description below.
Well, I think your show is fabulous. Everybody needs to tune into the Transplant Helper if you are looking for information. And Jim, as you can see, is very responsive. So if he doesn't have a show covering one of your questions, reach out to him.